Eagles are the better team. I can't say it any other way.
I don't really think everybody knows what they're about to witness.
I know talent when I see one. I should be an NFL scout.
Jonathan, I don't like that pick. I love that pick.
My first player is a rare player. Let's see who it is. Zach Charbonnet, franchise 1.3. That might be good down the road. I get to keep him. My second player is a legendary player. Who's it going to be? Bijan Robinson 1.3x. Let's go. My third player is an epic player. Christian McCaffrey 1.2x. My fourth player, another epic player. Travis Etienne franchise 1.3x. My next player is a rare player. Stephon Diggs franchise 1.1x. And my last is a wild card. Who do I get to boost? I get to boost a 1.2x. This is the best pack I've ever opened.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dorm Debate podcast. And the Super Wildcard weekend is over. We're on to the Divisional round. We are moving so fast through this playoffs. So far, not the best games. We have some upsets, but mostly blowouts. The only one being close was the Lions-Rams. A real great game between Stafford's old team. Puka Nacua had a great game. The rookie standout. He might win Rookie of the Year, maybe not, because of the guy we're going to talk about next. CJ Stroud had a great game against a top 5 defense. The playoffs were, how should I say that? Great performances, but not as interesting as we would like. You know, we want those close games. We want like back, 2021? It was like walk-offs every single time in those games, or 2022 with like Bengals, Titans, and Bucs, Rams with Tom Brady and Stafford. I want those types of games to go down to the wire, and I think these divisional round games are pretty evenly matched, and I think it's going to come down to the wire. I think a couple game-winning kicks might be the case. Let's go over some housekeeping here on our brackets, because everyone wants to know what our reaction has been with all of our brackets being completely busted. Nobody's perfect. Not even Caleb. And usually Caleb's perfect after the wild card weekend. Even Caleb. You said you wanted to be wrong, and man, you were wrong.
I was wrong enough, but not in the ways I wanted to be overall.
Yeah,
I was wrong that the Cowboys would go to the Super Bowl, and I'm happy about that. I hoped I was wrong about the Eagles losing to the Bucs, but I did call it correctly, and I'm here sad. I am dejected.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one to swallow, especially in that fashion. And then a day later, Kelsey retires. It really just twists the knife.
He deserves rest. He's done enough. I don't know if he'd ever see it, but he's a legend in Philly. It's, he can rest.
He deserves it.
We will all miss him, surely. I mean, he's still got his podcast, I'm sure, but yeah, just back-to-back news. And the video of him being sad made me sad, and the way we went out, as the organization did, it's rough for the Eagles right now, Eagles fan base.
Well, we'll get to the Eagles. We're going to talk about the Bucs in the third topic.
Yes. Okay.
But to review the brackets right now, and if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Jonathan's not here. Conveniently, no, just kidding. He's on a work trip, so he couldn't make it. But I'm sure you've all have been commenting on the TikToks and the Instagrams about wanting to see his reaction, and we do too. He's been pretty radio silent for us as well. But I mean, how can you blame him? I was the same way with the Chargers, and last year where they had the 27-point, what would you call that?
We were live during that game.
we were live.
We did go live for the first half.
And I said all that stuff, and I was just so confident. And then as soon as we ended it, it just went downhill from there, and we blew a 27-point lead. So I get it. I didn't even want to talk about it at all. So we'll catch him, or maybe he'll do a reaction video. But you will hear from him again. We always do. It's a cycle. We all know the Cowboys. I tried to warn him to not get too invested, and he just every year he just comes back and gets on the hype train every single year. But so let's go through. So As far as the Cowboys losing, Caleb, you had them going all the way to the Super Bowl. I'm sure
Yep,
you're not
yep.
sad about that.
Biggest mistake of mine. No. Yeah, I'm pleased that I was wrong. If
John,
I jinxed them, all the more.
yeah, John had him going to the NFC Championship, and I had him going to the Divisional, and then obviously Jonathan had him winning it all. So besides that wrinkle, everybody's NFC and AFC Championship is still in play. I have the Lions, 49ers, and Ravens, Chiefs. John has 49ers against Cowboys. That's one out. Bills and Ravens are still in play for a perfect AFC Championship. And then Caleb, you also had Bills, Ravens. Oh wow, you actually
Well,
your
AFC
NFC
side
is
perfect. My
your
NFC
NFC
in
is.
shambles.
I forgot.
Who did Caleb have in the
Rams.
NFC? Oh,
Yeah, I had the Rams, Cowboys.
Caleb.
So
Did you get one thing right in the NFC
No.
so far? The Buccaneers
Well, he got
over-
Bucks. He
over
got
my
Bucks.
Eagles.
Oh, you got Bucks right.
the one instance of no bias, and
Wow. Okay. So Caleb has a perfect AFC. Meanwhile, has
imperfect
imperfect NFC. So look, the brackets are somewhat in play here, and we'll make some picks down the line. Obviously, for me, I still have all four of my teams, so I'm gonna stick with them. I'm not gonna waver. But for these games like Caleb, you're looking at the NFC. We'll see if you pick the Lions or the Bucs, or if you pick the Packers or the 49ers. So without further ado, let's get right into it. You know, our picks have been red hot lately. Contrary to what people say on TikTok, they've been pretty good.
I love all the debates, all the people
They've been
sharing
chatting.
their mind, giving us good arguments.
So let's look at the Texans, the number 4 seed, versus the Ravens, the number 1 seed. This is going to be the first game on Saturday. Now, the Texans and the Ravens actually played already all the way back in week 1. The result was Texans 9, Ravens 25. So it was pretty much a blowout. Texans didn't score a touchdown. Stroud had 242 yards. Nico Collins had 80 yards receiving. Texans defense, who played very well against the Browns, did force a fumble and an interception and sacked Lamar 4 times. So that's something to look out for, is that Texans defense low-key has been on a hot streak. The biggest problem for the Texans in that game, obviously they couldn't score any touchdowns. They were kicking field goals left and right. And then for the Ravens, Lamar didn't have the greatest game. Zay Flowers had 78 yards, but every touchdown came from either Justice Hill or from J.K. Dobbins. Now J.K. Dobbins is out, so you'll probably see a Gus Edwards touchdown maybe in this game. So let's talk about that. I didn't have Texans-Ravens in my playoff, but I did have Browns-Ravens, and I still had the Ravens winning despite the Browns' great defense. So even with the Texans coming in, they seem like a hot team. They're the favorite by many fans because C.J. Stroud, the rookie, is coming in and just slinging it around. I still stick with the Ravens here. I'll stick with the team that's the better defense, team that's the better offense. I still believe that it's the Ravens on both sides. So for me, I'm going to stick with the Ravens, but man, John, CJ Stroud is having himself a rookie of the year type season, a playoff run, which some people like Dak Prescott can't say. I mean, he's doing amazing right now.
Yeah, he's playing really well, and everybody saw it, 45 points against the Browns, and we all thought that the Browns had one of the best defenses in the league. Turns out that Stroud makes them look like they are not very good at all. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game, and I was just telling Caleb before we were talking, and I'll pose this question to both of you before we end this podcast, and we could get to it later, but it seems like that Bills-Chiefs game is kind of like a little bit of a toss-up. Some people going one way, some people going the other. But the other 3 games, we've got Ravens, 49ers, and Lions are all favored to win all 3 of those games by probably like 5 points or more. But I think that one of those teams is going to lose. I think we're going to have an upset based on how this season has gone and based on how good the Texans played, how good the Packers played. Both of those teams played the number 1 seed in their conference, so it's going to be interesting. But the Texans, I'm interested to see this game because, like you said, Jared, it was in week 1 that these two teams played. So Stroud did have 245 yards passing, no touchdowns, but he was still getting acclimated to the NFL. So right now, he's playing a lot better than he was back then. And Dalton Schultz really didn't have an impact in that game. Still had to be introduced into this offense now that it was his first year into that system. But I think it's going to be a great game, and I'm really intrigued to see the passing games because both of these teams have really good run defenses. You said Justice Hill had 2 touchdowns last time these teams played, but I think he had 9 carries for 8 yards. He didn't really have a good game. I don't remember Dameon Pierce having a good game either. So I think that both teams are going to have to throw the ball, and I'm really intrigued to see who can light up the scoreboard.
Did you want to put a pick in, John?
Oh yeah, I'm still gonna pick the Ravens because I had them winning.
Okay.
But honestly, I'm not gonna be, if the Texans win, I'm not gonna be mad or surprised. I just want to see a really good game.
Yeah, I agree with John. Like that's I think one of these favored teams will lose. But of all the matchups that I expect to be a high gunslinging game, the Texans Ravens are the ones I'm looking the most at. I hope, like you were saying, Jared, I hope there's not a blowout too much in one way or the other. Like I want to see some exciting football before the season's over. But that one on paper looks like it's going to be exciting because I think we have to kind of look at, the Texans people will look at and say, oh, rookies, young system, rookie coach, whatever, all these things against them. But they better word is they're elite. And they're an elite defense on both sides of the ball. So I think for the reasons John said, it's going to still be a shootout because you have such talented quarterbacks that are going to slice and dice. And I'm expecting that one to be a high scoring one. But I did pick the Ravens to win largely because Lamar is acclimated. I wouldn't say the veteran, but just the way he's playing with some fire, the Ravens being healthy, I do think they get above the Texans. But like John, I wouldn't be surprised out of all the picks if this goes the other way because we've seen the Texans do it against the Browns. Now I think they were, Flacco was hot going into that game, and I like him a lot, and what he represented in those weeks for that organization was cool. But I don't. It's less likely that a guy like Lamar is going to make those mistakes with the picks. Some things leading to they're a very well-run organization and team that the Texans will have to make the most out of less mistakes, I anticipate. But like John, I'm not too particular either way, but I do have the Ravens winning that one.
Yeah, I also feed off that is I think the only way that the Texans win is if the Ravens beat themselves or they turn the ball over or there's some sort of pick six. If they just do what that offense is capable of and just controlling the game, controlling the clock,
right?
I just can't see the Texans winning. But John, like you were saying, I wouldn't be mad if Stroud won. this is such a great story, especially since it just goes back to Bryce Young. When you say C.J. Stroud, you immediately think Bryce Young, and it just think if the roles are reversed, would C.J. Stroud be leading the Panthers to a playoff? Like, would Bryce Young?
Yeah, it's so crazy to think that.
And then you see Jordan Love. Like, the NFC quarterbacks consist of Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, and Jared Goff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I guess Jared Goff's considered the veteran, right? How does he?
Yeah.
He's not an old dude. I think he's like 20s still, late 20s maybe, but like
yeah. It's a wild thing. I don't know, but yeah, I think we all have Ravens. I wouldn't be shocked if Texans won, but it would definitely be more of a surprise that the Ravens lost than the Texans winning. Is the best way I could put it. Like, I just don't see the Ravens messing up and fumbling and turning the ball over. I see that Ravens team being very disciplined. But let's go on to the second game. The second game, we're going over to the NFC East. The NFC.
Gotta bring it up, huh?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm just so used to
We don't
saying
have to
it.
talk about the NFC least.
We don't.
Until next season. That's it.
We don't.
We get a break.
Sorry. The number 7 Packers, which is the first 7 seed to advance since 2020 when they implemented the 7 seed versus the number 1 San Francisco 49ers. So they have not played this year. You may be asking, how did the Packers get here? How did they get to face the number 1 seeded 49ers? Well, they upset the number 2 Dallas Cowboys 48-32 in Dallas, believe it or not. Jordan Love, not Aaron Rodgers. You may thought it was Aaron Rodgers out there, but Jordan Love, 272 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. 49ers, I have this one stat that's going to be big. 49ers have more interceptions, 22, than passing touchdowns let up, 20. 22 interceptions to 20 passing touchdowns let up. I think that's going to be the biggest difference. And even though I originally had, I forget who would have faced the 49ers. I think it would have been the Eagles. I originally had the Eagles. But even with the Packers versus the Niners, I'm still picking Niners. Again, it's the fact of better defense and better offense. When the 49ers are clicking on both sides, nobody can stop them. And I don't think Jordan Love can have another great game. As much as he's been great, I don't think he can strike lightning in a bottle twice. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that the 49ers are the better team. Don't forget, guys, this Packers defense is terrible. I'd be shocked if the 49ers didn't score 30 points, probably 35 points in this game. They looked pretty good against the Cowboys. Cowboys only had 16 points up until the last few minutes of the fourth quarter when they started to go on a run. But this Packers defense is pretty bad. I think McCaffrey's going to have no problem. Purdy's going to have no problem throwing 2 or 3 touchdowns, 250 yards. So I think the 49ers are going to win this game. They're going to be able to, Aaron Jones was a huge factor in that game against the Cowboys. 100 yards, 3 touchdowns. It's going to be tough for him to have that good of a game against the 49ers. They're the 3rd best rush defense in the entire National Football League. So it's going to be really difficult to get that ground game going. Not to mention, they've got to go into San Francisco with them coming off a bye and McCaffrey practicing in full from that calf strain. So it's going to be a really tough game. I still pick the 49ers because I have them winning the Super Bowl.
Sticking true. Yeah, I see. I respect that. And you have really good reasons that are logical and analytical and well-reasoned. Off of hype, I'm picking the Packers.
Oh.
Yeah. Because of the momentum going into it, the motivation. You brought up, even I last week, we all picked the Cowboys, but I did mention that the defense has always historically been the problem for the Packers. They did look great against the Cowboys, but we also knew, I don't think any of us predicted the collapse of the Cowboys. I certainly didn't. I had them by matchups going all the way to the Super Bowl. But against good teams, the Cowboys were not very good, and the Packers were. I said it was a show-up game for Jordan Love, and he showed up. So, that's kind of – I think for a quarterback in that position, you kind of want to get any stigma or, any fear of messing up and, doing your job, but just getting the idea of – you're going to be clutch. You're going to show up and perform. Now they had such a wide margin that they took them out of the game at one point. But I think it's the kind of the contrast with the 49ers where you're right. If they get ahead, it could be problematic, but they haven't faced each other yet. It's if Jordan Love is the guy, which I think he's shown to in a few instances this season where he's been clutch and been able to win close games. The 49ers, I brought this up a few weeks ago, when they win by a big margin. And I'm not saying that makes them weak, but it's just in close games, it's usually they lose. So if this is a close game, the 49ers team do not have much experience winning the games that are down to the wire, so to speak, against some of the better teams in the regular season. Now they have the bye, they get to recover a lot, but I think some of the stuff that led to their blowout loss against the Ravens, the Packers certainly picked up on. Can they do it with that defense? It'll be different. But I think with the momentum going into it, the fact that Purdy's most memorable performance previously to this game might be the Ravens kind of sticking in the mind, the Packers are going to exploit that. So I think the odds are against them, but I'm still going to pick the Packers because I'm also kind of personally rooting against the 49ers. Not afraid to say that, but no, I think the Packers can get the right things going, and it'll be kind of cool for the storyline. Now, be an uphill battle, but it's in their core. I think the Packers can do it.
Wow. Okay, so you pick Packers.
Yep.
You got nothing to lose anyway. You might,
There's literally nothing.
One crazy thing I saw on Twitter, crazy stat I saw, and I told this to John already on the day of. So I would consider Jordan Love a rookie. I know he's not, but this is technically his first season. So I consider him a rookie. And then C.J. Stroud, rookie. So both making their first playoff starts. Both of them went 16 for 21. C.J. Stroud had 274 yards. Jordan Love had 272. Both had 3 touchdowns, and both had a perfect quarterback rating.
Wow. So Stroud's a little better is what you're telling me?
Stat. It's insane. I don't even know how that happens.
Stroud is better quarterback confirmed. He has 2 more yards.
He did have the better game statistically.
Yeah.
But you know
they
what?
were against 2 good defenses. That's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
That may be a factor against the
Cowboys, I would say, were top 10, and I think Browns
in
were
theory.
top 3 or top 5. Yeah, in theory.
Yeah, both of them, yeah.
But watching Stroud and watching Love, I mentioned this to John while watching them. Both of them throw with a lot of upper body and arm, and they don't really step into the throw. And there are a lot of times where a guy's right in his face, and they can just lean back and whip that arm crossed, and they both do the same. Like it's the same throwing motion where it's like it's almost like
fading away.
Yeah, like a fadeaway. It's almost like they played baseball as a kid or something where like you have that Derek Jeter kind of like fading away throw. They're able to whip their arm in a way to
Like
get
slapping
a
the
huge
offensive lineman.
Yeah,
Like someone.
it just has a perfect spiral out of his hand, both their hands. So it's an interesting look for both these rookies, because when you look at both of those, you think, for me, it looks like Aaron Rodgers, and especially Jordan Love in a Packers jersey, definitely looks like Aaron Rodgers. So it's just interesting to look at after a full regular season, now into playoffs. When push comes to shove, and there's a guy in their face, they're not running off. They're standing in the pocket, they're making throws. So all credit to them, honestly. They were the MVPs of their game for sure, especially when you think of C.J. Stroud didn't have Tank Dell, for one. Jordan Love has Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson, like not the most notable receivers, and Nico Collins wasn't anything until C.J. Stroud got there. So they're doing them with minimal help too, which I think is just very impressive.
Yeah, that'd be probably the most wild Super Bowl if it came down to the Texans Packers.
Imagine. That'd be insane.
All the script writers would be just fuming because no one could predict it, which is what makes it fun though. So you still got the 49ers though, Jared?
I still got 49ers, yeah, unfortunately.
Okay. Why is that unfortunate?
You don't have any stakes in this?
I don't like him.
I forgot you hate Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I hate him.
Oh, see, you don't think he's legit still?
No.
He's gonna even when he wins the Super Bowl.
I gave him his flowers. I said he's above average.
See, I picked the Packers still, but I say this knowing that, in my opinion, I think Purdy's like the guy. Like he's definitely.
I would rather have C.J. Stroud than Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
and
I
would no. Well, when?
Purdy's definitely
for career or next season?
Like if the 49ers could choose C.J. Stroud or Brock Purdy.
Oh,
of
course they're
Stroud.
gonna pick. Yeah, they're gonna pick Stroud.
I might choose Love too.
No, I think Purdy's legit.
It's borderline. It's borderline.
It is close.
It's also a hot hand. They just came off of wins, but no, I think Purdy's legit. But I will always in that system. I'll contend he's a check down merchant. So you can you can be both. You can get the check downs and win games.
And like
I also think he can hit some passes. So but definitely helps to be in that system.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be the only one happy when they win the Super Bowl. It's gonna be you guys. Caleb's gonna be pissed.
I will from that. No, Cowboys being out brings me some peace.
It's a team win. It's a team win, not a quarterback win.
What the 49ers have not won in this. Have they won in this millennia?
I don't know, but the 49ers haven't won without anybody injured or with somebody injured. And
Well,
that's
looks like
sticking
they're just
to
not
it.
going to get injured.
Well, there you go. Then I won't give him credit.
Just don't get injured, guys, please.
All he had to do is when McCaffrey went down or Debo went down to just win one game. He didn't do it, so I'm
Right.
sticking to it.
Was McCaffrey healthy against the Ravens? Was there anyone missing against the Ravens? That's like I'm trying to.
I
Maybe
don't
someone
remember.
out of like the big
I don't
three that I would
think so.
McCaffrey, Samuel, maybe Kittle, maybe.
I'm not going to hold that game against
Ayuk.
him though.
Why
Like,
not?
3 interceptions were
Tipped.
batted out of the air.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
it was
so
a
they're
bad
not
game
real?
by him, but it was. Tipped,
Yeah, he
you
still
know.
didn't play great.
I'm not
but-
going to hold that game against him, but I still would rather not have the 49ers win it. But let's go over to the Bucs, number 4 seed, versus the number 3 Lions. The Lions just beat the Rams in Detroit by 1 point, and the Bucs just beat Caleb's Philadelphia Eagles by a lot, 32-9. A cool storyline here. Not to go right into the Eagles, I won't do that yet. But a cool storyline to lift everyone's spirits, as Caleb's.
Yeah, just mention the Eagles and Caleb's just
He's
done.
gone. He's gone.
He hates it.
I gotta go travel, guys.
Believe it or not, Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff, they're going to be facing off as 2 former first overall picks. How crazy is that to have Baker Mayfield on the Bucs, Jared Goff on the Lions, 2 teams that didn't draft him, and they're now meeting in the playoffs in the divisional round. Meanwhile, the Rams, a team that gave up on Goff, is out, and the Browns, a team who gave up on Baker, is out in the first round. It's almost poetic. And
Yeah, it is.
like I said when I made my bracket, storyline, and it slipped through the fingers, slipped through the cracks for me. I didn't realize that this could have been a scenario. And
That's
like
true.
I said, there's always a storyline, and this weaved perfectly in. 2 quarterbacks trying to claim a little bit of redemption, and it's just great to see. I'm still picking Lions, even though I had them beating the Cowboys in a revenge game. Cowboys didn't hold up their end of the bargain. I still think this is going to be a great game because the Lions' pass defense is doo-doo flakes, and the Bucs only have a passing offense. So this is going to be extremely close. It's going to be tough for the Lions. Now, they both did play this year in Tampa. The Lions won 20-6. Amon-Ra had 12 receptions, 124 yards, and a tutty. The Lions didn't have Jahmyr Gibbs, and midway through that game, David Montgomery, their running back, got injured. So their leading rusher was like Craig Reynolds or Josh Reynolds or something like that, and he only had 15 yards. So the rush game was non-existent, and they still crushed him.
Basically, we're just going to see a lot of passing.
A ton of passing. Well, no, because I think Jahmyr Gibbs will play a little bit of a factor, but they shut down the Eagles and DeAndre Swift, which I thought they could just run all over them. The Eagles should have ran all over the Bucs, and they didn't. So I think the Bucs
Do you want to know
rush
how many
defense.
times you ran it?
Yeah, how many?
Eagles ran it 14 times, including Hurts's runs, whereas Rashad White alone on the Bucs ran it 18 times. Overall, they ran it 29 times.
Yeah, they did not run
42
enough.
rush yards the Eagles had to the 119 Bucs.
What did Swift have in terms of yards per carry?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have that.
I
do have that in
because
front of
I'm
me.
curious because I was thinking they should run more. but
I feel
also-
like it was a little
They had
more than
3.4.
4. 3.4?
With Swift, 10 carries, 34 yards.
So if you ran it 4 times the first down.
I mean, I feel like
Yeah,
that's
you're-
3.4 isn't that good, but I feel like Swift would usually break one out if you gave him like maybe 15 carries.
I don't know what it is with Okay, I'll let you finish your thought, Jared.
Oh,
Go on.
I'm just going to say I'm sticking with the Lions.
Okay.
Baker had an interception that game, no tutties. So
Nice.
even though it's going to be very close, and this might be the highest scoring game. I really think it might be the highest scoring game.
I think this will be the lowest scoring.
Really? Are you crazy?
So you're
Why,
Both these
what makes you think this is going to be high scoring?
great offenses, bad defenses.
Bucs
By
have a good
both.
defense. I'm not saying that because they beat the Eagles.
Not according to the last game they played. which
Oh, the Bucs?
against the Lions, they let up 124 yards to Amon-Ra alone. I don't know. I think it just could be high flying. And you know what? I did have the Lions. I'll just say this. Thank you to the Cowboys because they're going to be back in Detroit again. Who would have thought they'd have another home game? The Cowboys are so nice. So they're, the Christmas is over and they're just in the giving mood. And they're like, here, have another home game. That was so great. Have another.
That was really cool to see the Lions collective fan base. Like people were crying, like same old Lions, no more. From the first game when they beat the Chiefs, it was like, all right, they've been brewing something special. So it's exciting. They got another one at home. Like, what more could you want?
I've been on the train the whole way. I'm excited. All right, John. Bucs or Lions?
Yeah,
you didn't have either of these. Or you had the Bucs, but you didn't have the Lions.
Yeah, I think the Lions are going to do it. I like how this team is playing. I like the fan base. I like at home. I like Dan Campbell. I like the energy of this team. I think it'll be close. I think maybe a 23-20 type thing. Lions for the win. But yeah, it's going to be a great game. Like you said, Jared, both teams throw the ball a lot. I'm interested to see Amon-Ra. Sam Laporta and Mike Evans didn't really have a good game the other night, but he's going to probably have a really good game. They're going to rely on him. No rush team. I think, again, like I talked about with the Texans and Ravens, I think both run defenses are pretty good. So I think that it's going to be passing game. But yeah, I'm still going with the Lions in this one.
Thing is, if it's a passing game, I know it's a really cool story that you brought up, Jared, with both of them. Because I don't know how often. I wouldn't say what the surprising thing is that it's two number ones. What I think is interesting is it's two number ones that were basically rejected by the team that drafted them, and that's a testament to both those men to have the resiliency to hold on to a number one spot at another team. Like, that's so hard to do, and they did it. So I think it's exciting, either one of those guys to win. That being said, if it's a passing game, which I agree, I think it'll be a balanced game. But both these guys can turn it on and off. Like, Goff has had bad games, Baker's had bad games, and if they're passing it a lot in the air, someone's going to throw a pick, And I'm like, is it going to be more likely that it's Baker if it's standard Baker, or the Baker that shows up, or Goff, who kind of has been playing really well, but if he reverts back to, he threw a pick or something, like why the Rams got rid of him, could go either way. And I think I would maybe say that the Buccaneers have a better defense, and we know defenses win championships, but I think the Lions defense is going to be good enough. And the Bucs look really good because the Eagles were not playing. I'm an Eagles fan. We did not play really well. We should have ran it more. There's a million things we could have done better. I think it's overinflated what the stats will say. But I was right in saying that the prime Baker showed up. So if that Baker shows up, I'm a little. I'm going to go with the Lions though. I'm going to go with the Lions.
Wow,
it's not good because we all pick Lions now.
It is, yeah, but it's just they do their defenses. The Lions' offensive firepower might be able to, like, if the game is lower scoring, like below 20, maybe something around there, the Bucs have a very strong chance. But if it's going up to what the Lions can do, which is 30 or something, I think they outgun that defense basically. But I wouldn't be surprised if Baker shows contract year, keep me around. I think he's already proven that already, but it depends what Goff or what Baker shows up.
Yeah, so Baker is, I believe, on a 1-year deal. Do you re-sign him and give him another shot?
If I'm the Bucs, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. After a playoff win.
Because you play to the market, like,
because I think they gave him a 1 year because he was the best that they could do as far as, because they were like in debt or something, or over the cap by a certain amount, so they could only give out like 1 year deals, and Baker was just in the market and they thought he would be good, and now these turn into something that could be a quarterback for foreseeable future, at least for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, or at least have him, and you might get some, because I think back to when Kirk Cousins was the highest paid quarterback at the time when he signed with the Vikings. A lot of that had to do with the market, just who was available, teams that were close to winning but didn't have their guy yet in the quarterback. But I'm pleased to see Kirk improved steadily to be one of the top elite guys in the NFL. Baker might be able to do that. I don't know if he'll command quite the same wage out of the gate, but you could definitely use him as your franchise guy, and then spend the draft pick bettering the team, because this is largely a similar team to what Brady won, and what you need is a guy that can make the right decisions, and Baker can do that if like the not throwing a pick Baker shows up. But he threw a couple close ones even against the Eagles, so that might be part why the Lions, like the Bucs defense, is better, but some of those mistakes by Baker might bite them. But I think you still re-sign him because he could steadily improve like Kirk, and maybe use a later pick to develop a guy. See what happens with him. But yeah, I think Baker's proven it, because who else would be available if you're trading for it? Like what, like Dak maybe? I don't know. I'd like Dak probably better on the Falcons.
Oh wow, I can't even. We'll get into that later. What was John? Do you remember how many coaches Baker Mayfield's played for?
I think it's 8.
It's 8 in the last 6 seasons.
So maybe just give this guy a stability. Give him the same coach. I mean,
See what happens.
Honestly,
yeah. Maybe just give him some stability. Maybe he'll get. He's probably been living in apartments because he's too scared to buy a house in wherever he plays.
He's got houses in 8 different states at this point.
Yeah, if he bought a house
for every head coach.
Yeah, you got to give him
though.
some stability, and maybe he'll be a lot better. But good for him. He deserves it, and it's poetic with the Browns. They try to win now, get Watson. He can't play the playoff game. He loses. They lose to the Texans, the team they traded. It's just like the Browns have so much bad karma right now because of what they did to Baker.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, what they did to Baker and the way they went about resolving it. Honestly.
Yep. I'm not mad. In the last game, very pleased.
The last game is the best game.
Yeah, dude.
This is it, guys.
We should have went to this game during the season. That would have been amazing.
Wait, did they play this year?
Yeah, dude. Oh my God, we went to that game.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that was the one.
That was the one.
We went to so many this year, I just couldn't keep track.
Number 3 Chiefs versus the number 2 Bills. It's deja vu, folks. It seems like every year they find their way together to play in the playoffs.
But this time
in Buffalo. That we've never seen, and I double-checked, we have never seen Patrick Mahomes play an away game in the AFC.
Wow.
In the playoffs. He's never played an away game. It is going to be so weird to see it. But he's always played in Arrowhead. Despite any seedings or whatever, they always find a way.
Wow.
So that is going to be massive. It's going to be massive. I don't know what the weather's going to look like, but between Kansas City being like
it's
negative...
Buffalo. What do you think? It's going to be
freezing.
Yeah,
it's gonna be 20 degrees and snowing.
Yeah, with Kansas City, they were like negative 20. Bills were super cold and snowy. So I don't think the weather will be a factor because they both know how to play in it. It's like
It probably won't be a factor, but we went to school in upstate New York, and Buffalo is in upstate New York. Anybody listening that is like thinking in their head like, wow, like Buffalo, it seems like they have a snow game like in like every weekend. And yes, let me tell you guys, that's exactly what it is like. I think I counted when we went to school, like there was one year that it was snowing so much, I was like, let me just count how many consecutive days there's been snow, and I think it was from like January to like March. I'm not even kidding. It was like 95 straight days with at least like a flurry. Like it snows all the time there,
and windy, bitter,
and
cold.
It's windy as heck, and it's just snowy. It's freezing cold, but yeah, I'm sure there's going to be at least some flurries, and it's going to be maximum like 20 degrees on a Sunday night, but great game nonetheless.
Yeah. I mean, well, we'll get into it, but I'll go through this. The Bills played the Chiefs in Kansas City December 10th, Kayla's birthday. We were there at the game. We all know what happened. We know every stat. We know every play that happened. That was the Kadarius Toney offsides. Travis Kelce throws the ball back, the greatest play to never count. So it's ingrained in me. Bills won 20-17. A big player in that was James Cook. He had a receiving touchdown. He had over 100 scrimmage yards. Rashid Rice had a touchdown. He had a touchdown in the Dolphins playoff game. So I'm still picking the Chiefs. I think after watching against the Dolphins, they really didn't play great. It seemed like the Dolphins just couldn't get anything going. But they need to rely on Rashee Rice. The guy's a star. He's the only real star in that receiver group. They need to use him heavily. Isaiah Pacheco is going to be massive for them. And I really do think that the Chiefs could pull this one off. The Bills looked pretty good. They stuttered a little bit in the middle of that Steelers game, and they let the Steelers have a glimmer of hope, which worries me a little bit because, as we know, when the Chiefs-Bills game during the season, the Bills were up 14-0, and then slowly the Chiefs came back and had a chance to win it. So that worries me when you're the Bills, where what if you don't start off as hot as you want? Then you're not going to have that buffer, that lead. And then inevitably, when the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes come back, are you going to have enough points built up to sustain that storm?
Right.
So that's going to be the real question. In Buffalo, man, it's going to be exciting, something we've never seen before. I still have the Chiefs, though.
Still, wow. Let me tell you guys, the Bills are going to win this game. I'm so excited for this game, as are many of you. But I really think the Bills are going to win this game. Josh Allen has been playing great. My only worry is that consistency, but they've had consistency worries all year, all the last 3 years. And I don't think that's going to really change. That's just the nature of Josh Allen, the nature of that team. But they have been playing a little bit more consistent in terms of, like Jared, you said, they usually play pretty well in the first half. The second half, they still play well, but they let the team kind of come back. And yeah, it worries me a little bit that the Steelers came back and kind of had a chance at the end, down 14. But I like how they kept throwing the ball. With 6 minutes left, they were only up a touchdown, and they kept throwing the ball, threw it to Diggs, threw it to, I think, Kincaid, threw it to Shakir. He got into the end zone. So I like how they didn't just give up and run the ball. I like this new offensive coordinator making those decisions. And I think it's going to be a great game, as always. I'm just super excited to watch, but I do think that the Bills are going to come out with it.
So one question. Do you think James Cook has over 100 scrimmage yards this game?
Yes.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Caleb?
I'm going to pick the Bills as well. I know it was exciting to see, but I mean, John listed up some great reasons. Fundamentally, it's what we've talked about for the past few weeks is the Chiefs. When we watch if you guys have watched the commentary whenever Allen plays, they always bring up the turnovers, and I'm sure that's going to be still brought up in this week, but I'm sick of it. Like when you watch him play, he still does some magical things in the way he keeps a play alive, and he's been consistent. Seeing it in person was really fun. I think he outplayed Mahomes in that game, and even seeing some of the playoff moments with Allen to carry with them that momentum. Ever since they did the changeup in the OC, the Bills have breathed new life. So, we sometimes call the Bills the Cowboys of the AFC. Jared, you sum it up really well. They play down to the level of their competition. So both of those analogies, if you will, it comes down to the Bills' mentality. Like, are you going to be who you are versus just kind of respond to the situation? I think them being at home for the first time in a while, because for many years it's been that AFC goes through Arrowhead, and this year part of why it isn't is why I still have the Bills winning is the Bills are playing really well, especially Allen. Same with Diggs, of course. Like they've and having a run game outside of Allen has been huge, like with Cook. But we've seen it. The Chiefs' offense this year, obviously they've gone past the Eagles, but the Eagles and Chiefs being from the previous Super Bowl, both offenses haven't been super great. I mean, I was just looking up now, but it was in the past few weeks I noticed this, but when the Chiefs win, they're fundamentally a well-coached team, so they're able to do this and still win. But their kicker, Butker, got 4 of 4 field goals. And I think the week before that, their last game, like they're getting a ton of field goals. When this is the Chiefs, their red zone efficiency used to be so much better. They have guys like Kelsey, Rashee Rice, like the receivers dropping the ball. Some of Mahomes' passes just being short for some. I don't know why, but I've seen it in a couple games. The one we went to in person, and then some of them I've watched after televised. Like some of them are just short, and I don't know. So I think some of the receiving woes and a little bit of the passing woes are gonna rear their ugly head and be part of why. Now we know it's the Chiefs. They have the X factor of Mahomes. When Mahomes is playing, you can never fully rule him out. So I'm not like ultra confident with the Bills, but in my head, I'm like, which is worse? Would you rather have a sputtering offense or a quarterback that might throw a pick or two or have? In my mind, I'd rather have 1 or 2 turnovers, but have a high scoring potential with offense. Versus if this game gets out of hand, the Chiefs, if they win, it's usually in the low 20s, maybe a little around there. I mean, they were 26-9 against the Dolphins. I think if the Chiefs are legit, they probably should have scored more in those conditions. And they got 4 field goals, but how many of those, if they were efficient, should have been more? So, and again, it's still Mahomes, still big, but all the mentality stuff, playing to the competition. And then Mahomes, if he is Brady-esque, Brady historically did not do well when their team did not have home field advantage in the playoffs or without a bye as well. Usually Mahomes is rested up at this point, because he has the bye week. Mm-hmm. I think all that, it's either all this is going to serve as testament if the Chiefs win to being how great Mahomes is and despite all this, they still won. Or it's just going to be like, hey, this is all, the Bills worked hard to go from, I think they had a 5% chance of winning their division to then winning it, I believe. The Bills have worked hard. So that's part of why I had them winning in my original bracket for the AFC side. And I'll still stick with it. Is I like the Bills if it's their year. Now, I felt the same way about the Cowboys, so I could be wrong. Now, I don't really have a dog in this fight, but I still believe the Bills have some magic and can do it.
Yeah, you mentioned something about the low-scoring games, and who would have thought that we'd be talking about the Chiefs' defense, because they're actually keeping them in the game. I mean, the game that we went to, the Bills game, started red hot 14-0, and then they put the clamps on everyone, only let up 2 field goals, no touchdowns for the rest of the game, and that allows the Chiefs to trial and error, try new things, and get that offense going. After a couple of drives, so that's one big X factor. And then the one you mentioned, you're like, why aren't they getting red zone touchdowns? They have Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce hasn't had a touchdown since they played the Eagles November 20th. It's Travis Kelce. He had 4 in one game last year.
Has he been the number 1 tight end this year, even fantasy wise? No, mine more is Laporta.
No, he's like 3rd, I think, in fantasy.
Who's number 1 and 2?
It had to be Laporta
and Laporta and Hawkinson.
Oh yeah, but that's crazy because, I mean,
the whole season he has 5. The whole freaking season. Last year he had 12. That's terrible.
You could just tell it's not their year.
And I don't.
That's what it feels like.
I don't want to blame the girlfriend. Okay. I don't.
No, you can't. Don't say that about.
I don't want to blame Travis Kelce's girlfriend, but this is just bad stats to have. When did they announce it? They announced it in October. Yeah, I don't know.
Are you telling us not to get girlfriends, Jared?
I'm just saying that sometimes in some scenarios, in some instances, it's not a good time. And the playoffs, the NFL playoffs, are not a good time.
You're telling me the tall blonde came up to you in the playoffs and was like, hey, let's date. You're going to say, no, I got to win this?
Jared, she's rich.
You ever heard of boxers when they're preparing for a fight, they don't, do it. They don't
Okay.
Because it does something to the body, I guess. Yeah, just they coaches and stuff are like, yeah, don't do it. So they don't do it. So this is the same situation. This is a boxing match. You're going to the Bills. You're going to go haymaker to haymaker against each other. You're going to be throwing punches left. It's a boxing match. You got to prepare like it's a boxing match, and you can't be, having your girlfriend up in the stands watching and everyone's freaking out over her, and you're gonna be freaking out being like, oh, I hope she's okay, I hope she's warm, it's cold out. No, you have to be 100% focused. Kevin Durant still to this day has no girlfriend, he has no wife, because he's so committed to ball. He's committed. Celibate. And that's what you have to be. You're an athlete. You picked this profession.
No, you don't have to, dude. No,
you need
Tom Brady.
You need.
Tom Brady was married to a supermodel, dude.
Yeah, but that's not the same thing. What happened after they broke up? So he really didn't spend a lot of time with her until he retired, and then he's like, "Oh my God, this is awful."
I don't like delving into the personal lives of
I'm
people.
Just saying, Travis Kelce. To bring it back around, Travis Kelce needs to become a red zone threat, and he needs to stop dropping passes and play dang football. Your brother just retired. Your career could be over like that. You need to win as many Super Bowls as you possibly can. And it's about time that you score a dang touchdown. Is that too much to ask out of the best tight end that we've ever seen? I don't know. So if they're going to lose, it's going to be if the defense can't hold the Bills and if Travis Kelce can't get his stuff together.
I think the narrative implications is if that matters, it only matters to fans. But the Chiefs-Bills, I don't know if it'll be the highest scoring, but that'll be interesting either way. Because if the Bills lose again, it's like it's the same old Bills, versus if Allen finally I don't know if upsets, but goes above Mahomes, then we have a new player. He can finally say, like, I didn't just beat him. Remember how big of a deal it was when the Bills finally beat them in the regular season? Like, it's possible.
Yeah, it was
like
huge, yeah. I remember that.
So it'll be huge ammunition for the Bills, too. So I think all the other games, the 49ers, like, if they, it'll be fun to see what happens. Like, okay, the 49ers are legit, or the rookie does it, or and Texans. The Bills, Chiefs, the one thing I think that you brought up that I'm not going to get into the personal lives, and I think I think relationships are a great thing, and if Taylor Swift's interested in you, you say yes. But
there's a time and place, Caleb. There's a time and place.
But outside of this, we always bring up that in these games, penalties. You guys think the league? I'm not being maybe I am being a little bit, but do you think the league wants the Chiefs to go through, especially for him to be maybe the third best tight end? And how much in the media he's had. I mean, of course, it's part of the game, But you think the NFL for advertising, like they know how many people are going to tune in if the Chiefs advance?
Ooh.
It just goes back to the accountability issue with the refs, as that'll be an X factor. That'll be a Y factor.
The politics of the NFL
of bureaucracy. It's like, it'll be better for us. Yeah.
And she came out with a movie recently too.
It's a good movie. Yeah, I reviewed it.
Commercial. Oh yeah, you went and saw it.
Yep.
You know what? I would hate for that to happen. If the Chiefs won off of
let him play
Travis Kelce's boyfriend, then I mean girlfriend. That would be wrong. That would be wrong. Let the better team win. If the Bills play better than the Chiefs, let the Bills through.
Yeah. All these games. I don't want it to go down to what we've said for years. Literally, like past 3 years is a ticky-tack call determining the outcome of the game. Please, just let them play.
Swallow your whistle. Hold the flag. Let the boys be boys and have at it in negative 20-degree weather. No sleeves. Just good old-fashioned football. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. We got to wrap this up, though.
Yeah. So I just wanted to hear you guys' thoughts.
Yeah. No, we had to touch on it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, so much for listening. If you haven't already, go over to our TikTok and our Instagram at Dorm Bay Podcast. Caleb and I have been pumping out content left and right. Everybody's been loving the content, and I don't mean loving it. I mean loving to hate on all of us.
It's a mixed bag. It's fun,
we've had some good picks. We've had some bad picks. It seems like on TikTok, only the bad picks go viral, which is weird.
That's just a little weird.
That's just weird, because we did get the Bills all right, and I got the Lions right, and just no one cares. Chiefs, no one cares. But we pick a 2 seed in the Cowboys, and we're wrong, and everyone just jumps on us.
Oh,
it's
like
we're idiots.
Clown emojis. We don't know ball. How can we have a podcast? We can take it though. It's fun. It's fun.
No, it's all fair game. If we can take it, you can take it. If we dish it back, so no, it's all fun. I love it. That's the core of Dorm Debates. It's great, so great. So follow us over on there. And if you are listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, please leave us a 5-star review. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Enjoy those playoff games, and as always, we will see you guys next week.